Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side, my greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. You can fool all the people some of the time, and some of the people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. No man has a good enough memory to be a successful liar. I am not bound to win, but I am bound to be true. I am not bound to succeed, but I am bound to live by the light that I have. I must stand with anybody that stands right, and stand with him while he is right, and part with him when he goes wrong. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. The philosophy of the school room in one generation will be the philosophy of government in the next. Character is like a tree and reputation like a shadow. The shadow is what we think of it, the tree is the real thing. The ballot is stronger than the bullet. How many legs does a dog have if you call his tail a leg? 4. Saying that a tail is a leg doesn't make it a leg. I don't like that man. I must get to know him better. All that I am, or hope to be, I owe to my angel mother. Be sure you put your feet in the right place, then stand firm. I am a slow walker, but I never walk back. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other. Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep on doing so until the end. When I do good I feel good, when I do bad I feel bad, and that's my religion. I will prepare and someday my chance will come. It has been my experience that folks who have no vices have very few virtues. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. I have always found that mercy bears richer fruits than strict justice. Don't worry when you are not recognized, but strive to be worthy of recognition. We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure. I am a firm believer in the people. If given the truth, they can be depended upon to meet any national crisis. The great point is to bring them the real facts. Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? The shepherd drives the wolf from the sheep's throat, for which the sheep thanks the shepherd as his liberator, while the wolf denounces him for the same act as the destroyer of liberty. Plainly, the sheep and the wolf are not agreed upon a definition of liberty. My dream is of a place in a time where America will once again be seen as the last best hope of earth. I don't know who my grandfather was, I am much more concerned to know what his grandson will be. The probability that we may fail in the struggle ought not to deter us from the support of a cause we believe to be just. Discourage litigation. Persuade your neighbors to compromise whenever you can. As a peacemaker, the lawyer has superior opportunity of being a good man. There will still be business enough. No matter how much cats fight, there always seem to be plenty of kittens. I do not think much of a man who is not wiser today than he was yesterday. Marriage is neither heaven nor hell, it is simply purgatory. That some achieve great success, is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. You have to do your own growing no matter how tall your grandfather was. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, and under the rule of a just God, cannot long retain it. A friend is one who has the same enemies as you have. He has a right to criticize, who has a heart to help. This country, with its institutions, belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of the existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it, or exercise their revolutionary right to overthrow it. I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives. I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him. No man is good enough to govern another man without the other's consent. Labor is prior to, and independent of, capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor, and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital, and deserves much the higher consideration. The best way to get a bad law repealed is to enforce it strictly. If this is coffee, please bring me some tea, but if this is tea, please bring me some coffee. I remember my mother's prayers and they have always followed me. They have clung to me all my life. Avoid popularity if you would have peace. I never had a policy, I have just tried to do my very best each and every day. We should be too big to take offense and too noble to give it. If we could first know where we are, and whither we are tending, we could then better judge what to do, and how to do it. A woman is the only thing I am afraid of that I know will not hurt me. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds. All the armies of Europe, Asia and Africa combined, with all the treasure of the earth, our own excepted, in their military chest, with a Bonaparte for a commander, could not by force take a drink from the Ohio, or make a track on the Blue Ridge, in a trial of 1,000 years. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Whenever I hear anyone arguing for slavery, I feel a strong impulse to see it tried on him personally. The things I want to know are in books. My best friend is the man who'll get me a book I ain't read. The way for a young man to rise is to improve himself in every way he can, never suspecting that anybody wishes to hinder him. Let's have faith that right makes might, and in that faith let us, to the end, dare to do our duty as we understand it. Towering genius disdains a beaten path. It seeks regions hitherto unexplored. At what point then is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reach us, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of freemen, we must live through all time, or die by suicide. If the great American people will only keep their temper, on both sides of the line, the troubles will come to an end, and the question which now distracts the country will be settled just as surely as all other difficulties of like character which have originated in this government have been adjusted. My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union, and is not either to save or to destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it, and if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. These men ask for just the same thing, fairness, and fairness only. This, so far as in my power, they, and all others, shall have. If I were two-faced, would I be wearing this one? I care not much for a man's religion whose dog and cat are not the better for it. Important principles may, and must, be inflexible. When the white man governs himself, that is self-government, but when he governs himself and also governs another man, that is more than self-government, that is despotism. The leading rule for the lawyer, as for the man of every calling, is diligence. Don't interfere with anything in the Constitution. That must be maintained, for it is the only safeguard of our liberties. Surely God would not have created such a being as man, with an ability to grasp the infinite, to exist only for a day. No, no, man was made for immortality. Public sentiment is everything. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. Gold is good in its place, but loving, brave, patriotic men are better than gold. There is no grievance that is a fit object of redress by mob law. Never regret what you don't write. Every man is said to have his peculiar ambition. Whether it be true or not, I can say, for one, that I have no other so great as that of being truly esteemed of my fellow men, by rendering myself worthy of their esteem. How far I shall succeed in gratifying this ambition is yet to be developed. Everybody likes a compliment. The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew. Let not him who is houseless pull down the house of another, but let him work diligently and build one for himself, thus by example assuring that his own shall be safe from violence when built. Fellow citizens, we cannot escape history. We, of this Congress and this administration, will be remembered in spite of ourselves. No personal significance, or insignificance, can spare one or another of us. The fiery trial through which we pass will light us down in honor or dishonor, to the latest generation. Stand with anybody that stands right, stand with him while he is right and part with him when he goes wrong. If there is anything that a man can do well, I say let him do it. Give him a chance. A man watches his pear tree day after day, impatient for the ripening of the fruit. Let him attempt to force the process, and he may spoil both fruit and tree. But let him patiently wait, and the ripe pear at length falls into his lap. We here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. True patriotism is better than the wrong kind of piety. Slavery is founded in the selfishness of man's nature, opposition to it is his love of justice. These principles are an eternal antagonism, and when brought into collision so fiercely, as slavery extension brings them, shocks and throes and convulsions must ceaselessly follow. I want it said of me by those who knew me best, that I always plucked a thistle and planted a flower where I thought a flower would grow. We think the Dred Scott decision is erroneous. We know the court that made it has often overruled its own decisions, and we shall do what we can to have it overrule this. What kills a skunk is the publicity it gives itself. If once you forfeit the confidence of your fellow citizens, you can never regain their respect and esteem. I can make more generals, but horses cost money. Books serve to show a man that those original thoughts of his aren't very new at all. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. Common-looking people are the best in the world. That is the reason the Lord makes so many of them. Any people anywhere, being inclined and having the power, have the right to rise up, and shake off the existing government, and form a new one that suits them better. This is a most valuable, a most sacred right, a right, which we hope and believe, is to liberate the world. Tact is the ability to describe others as they see themselves. It is rather for us here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. When you have got an elephant by the hind legs and he is trying to run away, it's best to let him run. Hold on with a bulldog grip, and chew and choke as much as possible. Knavery and flattery are blood relations. Ballots are the rightful and peaceful successors to bullets. It has so happened in all ages of the world that some have labored, and others have, without labor, enjoyed a large proportion of the fruits. When I hear a man preach, I like to see him act as if he were fighting bees. When I am getting ready to reason with a man, I spend 1/3 of my time thinking about myself and what I am going to say, and 2/3 about him and what he is going to say. I was born and have ever remained in the most humble walks of life. With the fearful strain that is on me night and day, if I did not laugh I should die. If you think you can slander a woman into loving you, or a man into voting for you, try it till you are satisfied. I have talked with great men, and I do not see how they differ from others. Every one desires to live long, but no one would be old. That I am not a member of any Christian church is true, but I have never denied the truth of the scriptures, And I have never spoken with intentional disrespect of religion in general, or of any denomination of Christians in particular.